Hello and welcome to Vision Extra, coming to you from Vision Australia Radio. Peter Greco with you, and it's great to welcome to the program Tony Aitchison. Tony is from a company called Add Life Tech. Tony, thanks so much for your time.
Yes, hi Peter, how are you?
Pretty good. Tell us a little bit about what Life Tech is, and then we can talk about what you do.
Yes, sure. Add Life Technologies is a company that has come out from a few years ago, where we've basically looked at the way in which rehabilitation is currently being performed, and we thought to innovate it using virtual reality. So we're using virtual reality to assist people in doing their normal rehabilitation exercises, but also because it is a gamified aspect, we're finding that they are staying on for longer periods of time, achieving new levels of recovery, and they're actually enjoying going and doing the rehabilitation.
So you're making it more fun, I guess, rather than a conventional way of rehabilitating.
Yes, and we have a whole range of different virtual reality environments, so they can sort of choose what they want to do.
Okay, so how did it come about? Whose brainchild is it?
Yeah, so this is a company that's come from the ideas of both myself, Tony Aitchison, and my co-founder, Desh Malani, who's one of the virtual reality, he's one of the more forward thinkers and knows his stuff around virtual reality around in South Australia. And I've come from a background in medical technologies as well as business as well.
Okay, and I guess the way technology is advancing, the sky's the limit, and if you've got a handle on that sort of thing, you can obviously make it very useful for all parts of the medical world.
Yes, so there's obviously lots of application potential. You're generally seeing applications in the area of training and architecture, but there's very small developments in medical technology.
Now, I know recently you presented at the Royal Society for the Blind, so what was that about and why did you do that?
Yeah, so as part of one of the big markets that we have is in stroke rehabilitation. And due to this neurological event, people can suffer elements of blindness, vision impairment. And so obviously we were talking to the Royal Society of the Blind to try and work on ways in which we can make it better for people who have that vision impairment. So looking at things like high contrast, larger items within the environment. There's also aspects of things such as neglect, where they can see what's happening on the right, but the brain hasn't actually acknowledged that there are objects on the right, and so they have to do such things as turning their head left and right and scanning their eyes left and right. It's small, subtle things that are related to vision. Okay,
and I guess that can make a huge difference to one's quality of life.
Very much so. It also helps with people who need to be able to drive again, because normally we might just be looking with their eyes, but using this technology, it can encourage people to learn how to scan, and then they can obviously pick up items that are in their blind spots, and they can pass driving tests again.
So in this sort of instance, someone who may have had a stroke and had their sight affected, give us a bit of an idea of how it works. Where do you come into the picture and what do you do and how does that help?
So typically a person's got a stroke and we would highly recommend them, obviously, to go to the hospital.
Okay.
They would then have either if it's a hemorrhage type aspect, then they get their treatment. If it's the blood clot, they would get it removed. And every second is vital because they lose millions of neurons every minute. And depending on the level of their impairment, being mobility, cognitive, or even vision impairment, we would be able to assist them with the virtual reality environment. So what they simply do is they put the, let's say, it's called a head-mounted display, but it's like putting on swimming goggles and little TV screens on the swimming goggles. And with that, we can give them a whole new environment to interact with. So while they're in this environment, we have all their body tracking and their hand tracking positions, so we can determine their levels of mobility. But within these virtual reality environments, there are also challenges, items to look for, goals to achieve, and we call these micro challenges because we slightly make them harder with each environment. This allows people to develop on a path that is very unique for them, so it's not giving them the aspect of feeling overburdened with the task at hand.
So obviously it's very individualised.
Oh, very much visualised, and they're interacting with virtual elements. So a good example is we have an environment called Handy Golf, and they're simply pushing some virtual balls around. So these people that have levels of mobility impairment where they don't have the physical strength to move items around, but they have the strength to lift their arm, they can start working on their coordination and their stamina, because stamina is a really big thing when it comes to regaining their motor control again.
So this is equipment, if you like, or a technology that people take home and use in their own homes, or is it before they go home?
So this technology, that we have done some work with people who are using it from hospital beds. So they're doing that. But also when they go home, we found actually in a report that people have no post-care plan. And there was lots of issues surrounding that. So that's one element of what AdLife Technology is doing, is we're working on being able to help people with a post-care plan after they've left the hospital, be it whatever neurological disorder, stroke, Parkinson's, spinal cord injury, blunt force trauma. There's a whole range of them. And they can use this device in rehabilitation centres and physios. So we're in the process of getting this distributed throughout Australia. And obviously, if you're listening and you're a physiotherapist, we'll be very happy to talk to you because we might be able to help you out with a solution to assist your client.
So how are you going as far as acceptance goes, Tony? Because this sounds a little bit out there, and you know, with due deference, often the medical profession can be fairly conservative in their views, and that's obviously because they've got the patient's best interest at heart. Is this a hard thing to break into in terms of getting it accepted by physios and the medical profession in general?
Well, yeah, with any new technology that comes into the world, there's always going to be the most risk-averse people, and then there's going to be the ones that are the early adopters. So obviously, you know, this has an element of medical device aspect to it, and so we did not simply make the device and then put it out there. What we did was we built it, we tested it again, we did some trials, we did it in the repatriation hospital, we did a small trial there, and we've got many more on the board as well. So we'll be continuously improving this device, and that will help with the adoption, but also be able to provide us a better service as the months go on.
What about as far as the cost of it goes? I guess that's always a consideration. I mean, I guess if you're wanting to rehabilitate and get back to as good as you can be, almost prepared to pay anything, but some people haven't got that financial freedom to be able to do that sort of thing. What about financially? Where does it stand?
Yeah, I would completely understand that. With any new technology that comes in the market, sometimes it's always got a very high ticketing price. And, you know, of course, this is a brand new technology. This is technology that went dead in the late 1990s and has had a resurgence.
Okay.
Because it's come back around, the price is dropping, but it's still not at the point where we can sell it direct to consumers. And so that's why we're giving it to the businesses. And plus, they can get better care from, you know, the physiotherapists and the rehabilitation centres, occupational therapists, because they can get the additional guidance while they're using the device.
Okay, so the physiotherapist, as you say, they're a professional medical practitioners, you know, giving them the best care they can, and along with the technology from AdLife Technology, it just adds to it. What about as far as training the people that are going to be working with the patients? Do you do that as well?
Yeah, we do assist them with understanding the platform, but generally these are traditional rehabilitation exercises that are simply put in a virtual reality environment. We will be working on ones that will develop even further, but that will that will be released probably more than a year's time from now.
Okay. So you talked about rolling it out around Australia. Is this sort of an Australian quote-unquote invention, and does it have maybe export potential as well?
Yes. Well, it's been made here in Adelaide, and we want to take it globally. Yes.
Yeah, well, nothing wrong with having ambition. And what about in terms of results then? I mean, it sounds very positive, but can you sort of back that up with the results? Are you far enough down the track in terms of people using it to get a bit of an idea of how successful that part of it is?
Yeah, very much so. So if people want to go on YouTube and find us, that's ADD-Life Tech or Technologies. You'll find on our YouTube channel some case studies. One in particular is of a young gentleman who we've helped since he left the hospital, and he is now walking again after he was basically in a wheelchair.
Gee, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. Now, of course, he does have other technologies assisting him, which is excellent. So this technology is a tool that is added to other rehabilitation devices.
And as you touched on at the beginning, in a sense, it's all about, I guess, the regularity of the rehabilitation to get the best result. So, you know, I mean, it's not sort of a one-off and all of a sudden things are going to work. It's, you got to be doing the stuff regularly.
Yeah, so one thing that we have found is that with this device, it can help with their mental state. Yeah. And in doing so, they actually start exhibiting movements they haven't shown before. That can, I do stress, can occur from the very first time they use the device. But obviously regular use is very beneficial to the individual.
Well, Chad, it sounds very exciting. I should say a big thank you to Andrew Davies from the RSB for putting us in touch with you. I've enjoyed talking to you. Now, if people do want to find out more, you've got a website where people can get information. I guess we're talking mainly about professionals. So I guess if there's people listening that may have had a stroke themselves or know someone that has, it might be worth checking out your website just to see if there's something that might be able to help them.
Yeah, very much so. If you've got a physio and you want to add it to your toolkit, certainly. So yeah, that's at the website, which is www.adlifetech.com, and that's ADD-lifetech.com.
Terrific. Tony, good to catch up with you, and sounds like you've got a very entrepreneurial and forward-thinking way of doing things, very progressive. So it's been good to talk to you, and hopefully we can catch up with you again in the future.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right. Thanks for your time. That's
Tony Aitchison, one of the founders of Add Life Tech. That's ADD-LIFE tech.com. Certainly sounds like a lot of scope there for people to get good improvement after having certain injuries or illnesses such as strokes and maybe their vision being affected. So if you'd like to find out more, check out Tony's website. That is it for the program. If you've missed some of it, maybe you'd like to hear it again, you can go to our website, www.varadio.org/podcast. The program is Vision Extra. That's the name of this one, back on this radio station at the same time next week.